Hello and welcome to Standard Voice Television Global News. Today, 28 March 2026, equivalent to Islamic calendar 9th Shawwal 1447 after the Hijrah of the Noble Prophet. In the headlines, President Tinubu accuses opposition of twisting electoral act over politics. APC Convention Election Committee announces Swtv and Basiru to return as National Chairman Secretary. Northwest governors adopt regional security framework to tackle challenges. And on the international scene, UN agency taxes countries on health policies inclusion for refugees and migrants. And on sport updates, NFF proposes reforms amid growing calls for change. Details of these and more will be coming to you in the news bulletin. I am Sumaya Mustafa. Stand by. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has knocked opposition parties, accusing them of deliberately misrepresenting the Electoral Act for political advantage, while reaffirming his administration's commitment to democratic principles and credible polls. Tinubu, who made the assertion at the 4th Elective National Convention of the All Progressives Congress, APC in Abuja, said persistent attacks on the Electoral Act 2026 by opposition groups were misleading and harmful to the country's democratic development. He emphasized that the law was not arbitrarily imposed but emerged from a rigorous legislative process involving public participation, noting that the act represents a collective national effort to strengthen electoral processes and should not be reduced to a tool for partisan rhetoric. Earlier, the APC National Convention Coordinating Committee Chairman and former Katsina State Governor Aminu Masari noted that the party remained focused on delivering governance that promotes fairness and national development. Moving on, the Convention Election Committee of the All Progressives Congress APC says Nentawi Swtv has returned as the national chairman, while Sirajuddin Basiru emerged as national secretary at the party's 4th elective national convention in Abuja, even as many other officials were elected through consensus. President Bola Tinubu, Vice President Kashim Shettima, Senate President Godswill Akpabio, and Speaker Tajuddin Abbas were present at the convention. The 4th Elective National Convention was organized by a planning committee led by a former Katsina State Governor Aminu Masari and former Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Anyim Pius Anyim. The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has extended the deadline for the submission of political parties' registers of members as part of the preparations for the 2027 polls. The National Commissioner and Chairman of the Information and Voter Education Committee, Mohammed Haruna, disclosed this in a statement issued in Abuja. According to the statement, the adjustment followed issues raised by political parties during a meeting regarding the earlier timeline for submitting membership registers. The initial schedule had fixed the submission period from April 1 to April 21, 2026. Haruna, however, said the timeline has now been revised to ensure compliance with the provisions of the Electoral Act 2026, adding that political parties are now permitted to conduct their primaries within a window spanning from April 23 to May 30, 2026. INEC also stressed that strict adherence to the revised timeline is critical to ensuring a smooth electoral process and clarified that parties must submit their membership registers not later than 21 days before their respective primaries. Still in the news, some opposition parties and political figures have criticized it condemned the federal government order to civil servants to work from home ahead of the All Progressives Congress APC convention in Abuja. Reacting, a former Deputy National Chairman of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Olabode George, described the directive as unjustifiable, adding that such a decision was morally disturbing and warned of its implications for the country's democratic future. Also faulting the move, the National Publicity Secretary of the African Democratic Congress, ADC, Bolaji Abdullahi, accused the ruling party of prioritizing politics over governance, warning that such actions could erode democratic values. Similarly, the national chairman of the African Action Congress, AAC, Omoyele Sowore, lamented that the development raised serious concerns about governance and the electoral process, adding that opposition parties might consider a boycott if electoral conditions are not improved. On his part, the national chairman of the Social Democratic Party, SDP, Sadiq Gombe, described the directive as reckless and unfair, warning that it sends the wrong signal about how elections could be managed. The federal government and power generation companies, GenCos, differed on reconciliation of debts in Nigeria's electricity market, with both sides offering differing accounts of the actual liabilities owed to the GenCos. Minister of Power Adebayo Adelabu disclosed this during a recent question and answer session at a press conference in Abuja, where he also apologized to Nigerians for the persistent power outages. He said the actual debt owed to generation companies may be significantly lower than widely reported as ongoing reconciliation efforts continue to clarify obligations within the sector, and explained that the government liabilities to generating companies could settle at about 4 trillion naira rather than 6.3 trillion naira figure often cited in industry deliberations. Meanwhile, the executive secretary of the Association of Power Generation Companies, Joy Ogaji, while responding to the minister's remarks, called for more clarity on how the figures were derived, while reaffirming the need for a comprehensive reconciliation involving all parties. The news is coming to you on Standard Voice Television Global News. Still to come in the news. Northwest governors adopt regional security framework to tackle challenges. On the international scene, UN agency taxes countries on health policies inclusion for refugees and migrants. And on sport updates, NFF proposes reforms amid growing calls for change. Details of these and more will come to you after this break. Stay tuned. Welcome back from that short break, and now the news continues. Governors of the Northwest states have embraced a new regional framework intended to curb insecurity and driving development across the zone. The chairman of the forum and governor, Dikoratla of Katsina State, disclosed the move at the third meeting of the Northwest Governors Forum in Abuja, where the Northwest Peace, Security and Development Framework 2026 to 2030 was formally launched. Chief Press Secretary to the Governor, Ibrahim Mohammed, who announced the development in a statement in Abuja, said the initiative represents a collective commitment by states in the region to address rising security and socio-economic challenges through coordinated action. The statement added that the blueprint is designed to tackle complex issues, including insecurity, organized crime, and economic vulnerabilities, through a unified regional strategy. The governor also applauded the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, for its technical and financial support, describing it as a key partner in promoting peace, security and development in the region. Moving on, troops of Operation Hatnunkai and Operation Savannah Shield have arrested suspected terrorist spies, logistics suppliers and foreign illegal miners during coordinated military operations. Director of Defense Operations, Major General Michael Onoja, who announced this in a statement, said the operations conducted across the northeast and north-central regions were enhanced by intelligence-led activities. He added that among those arrested was a suspected terrorist informant in Mubi local government area of Adamawa State, linked to a previous attack in Ngoshe in Borno State. Onoja also said the troops arrested a terrorist spy at an excavation site in Maiduguri Metropolitan Council of Borno State, recovering a mobile phone, power bank and cash. The army spokesperson added that an arms dealer was arrested in Donga local government area of Taraba State following intelligence on an ongoing arms transaction. The statement said the troops also arrested another terrorist informant in Mubi local government area of Adamawa State. Still in the news, the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission ICPC has temporarily released former Kaduna State Governor Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai from the custody following the death of his mother Hajia Umma El-Rufai. The former governor's son Bashir El-Rufai disclosed this in a post on his X handle, saying that his father had been released from detention. El-Rufai has been in ICPC custody since February 18 over allegations bordering on financial misconduct and other related matters. The former governor was arraigned earlier this week before the Kaduna Division of the Federal High Court alongside one Joel Adoga on charges bordering on alleged conversion and possession of public property, as well as money laundering. Meanwhile, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has sympathized with El-Rufai over the death of his mother, who passed away on Friday in Cairo, Egypt, after an illness. Also, the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, has expressed grief over the death of Hajia Umma El-Rufai, describing her as a caring figure with whom he shared fond memories. Moving on, some Nigerians have raised the alarm over the persistent racial profiling and brutalization by the Indian police, and also decried visa regularization challenges and high renewal fees. Some of the residents allege that some Nigerian students were physically assaulted, adding that reporting to the authorities had changed nothing. The allegations are coming amid growing agitations by student bodies demanding urgent diplomatic intervention in the situation. The National Association of the Nigerian Students, NANS, had recently staged a peaceful protest at the Indian High Commission in Abuja over what it described as alarming reports of inhumane treatment of Nigerian students in India. NANS Vice President Special Duties Abubakar Malawa, while speaking with reporters during the peaceful protest, decried the alleged ill treatment of Nigerians, adding that the association had received multiple distress reports from students in Indian cities, particularly Mumbai, over visa challenges, discriminatory practices and systematic profiling. The students' body also issued a 7-day ultimatum to the federal government for urgent diplomatic engagement, warning that it would escalate advocacy actions nationwide if the issues were not addressed. The World Health Organization (WHO) has called on countries to embrace refugees and migrants in their health policies, saying a major shift in how nations are responding to their needs. The UN Health Agency, in a statement, welcomed the progress made and urged governments, partners and donors to accelerate progress by embedding refugees and migrants in all national health policies, strategies and plans. WHO reports a major shift in how countries are responding to the health needs of refugees and migrants, with new data showing more than 62% of those surveyed now include them in their national health policies and laws. The new global report on promoting the health and refugees and migrants monitoring progress on the WHO Global Action Plan shows that countries are relying on evidence. The UN agency stated that human migration had been a defining feature of that shared history, driving cultural, social and economic development across generations. And on sport updates, the Nigeria Football Federation (NFF) has announced some reforms in key governance structures which were long neglected. NFF President Ibrahim Musa Gusau, while speaking at the Extraordinary General Assembly in Bayelsa State, admitted that the Federation's statutes, electoral code and standing orders have not kept pace with the evolving demands of modern football administration. The NFF has now approved a series of amendments aimed at modernizing its governance framework and has also fixed September 26, 2026 as the date for its next elective Congress, a decision that could shape the future direction of the sport in the country. In another development, Nigeria Super Eagles beat World Cup bound Iran by 2-1 in the ongoing four-nation invitational tournament played in Turkey. Moses Simon puts Nigeria in a lead in 6 minutes into the game, while striker Akol Adams doubled Nigeria's lead in 51st minute to write his name on the score sheet. The Iranian reduced the tally in the 67th minute through the Mehdi Taremi. Finally, on the news, here is a recap of the top stories again. President Tinubu accuses opposition of twisting electoral act over politics. APC Convention Election Committee announces Wilwatda and Basiru to return as National Chairman Secretary. Northwest governors adopt regional security framework to tackle challenges. And on the international scene, UN agency taxes countries on health policies inclusion for refugees and migrants. And on sport updates, NFF proposes reforms amid growing calls for change. That was Standard Voice Television Global News. Our next news bulletin comes up to you later. On behalf of the news editor Elia Adamu Auta and the production crew, I am Sumaya Mustafa, thanking you for listening.